In today's video, I'm going to be walking through the best FUT fantasy investments this week. So, just before the video does start, a quick little ad on a trading service I offer over on Twitch. For the cheapest premium trading service for just £4, €4, or free with Amazon Prime. You'll get yourself daily trading and investing guides covering both Xbox and PlayStation with an array of different techniques depending on your budget. I've been trading for over 10 years, making over 100 million on multiple titles, and recently making over 10 million in the first month for the last 3 years. So in today's video, what I'm going to be doing is walking you guys through the best FUT fantasy investments this week, because in a previous video, I did make a bit of a mistake and it was brought light to me, so I basically have to go and, I guess, correct it and give my new advice. So the way we messed up in a previous video, today's video, what I'm going to be doing is talking about the players we're looking to invest in, why the last players didn't work. There's actually a play about selling the players early, and you know how there's a little risk and a hold and a play. So there's a few things we'll be talking through. First thing I'll be talking about though is some of the players that I thought would be the best to invest in have a bit of a condition in which they're not as good as others. Now I do still think that Benrahma, and the two players are speaking, is Benrahma and Peter Crouch. Now the reason we did like Benrahma and Peter Crouch as an investment is because they're the most used players. The most used players traditionally do pretty well out of packs. But the problem isn't really with Benrahma and Peter Crouch, it's that they get upgraded on the first game after the 1st of April, which is the league game. Well, if we go and do a little bit of research into West Ham's first game after the 17th of April, which means that the West Ham Aston Villa game does not count. The West Ham AK game obviously doesn't count. And the problem they have is that this game is postponed because I believe that Man City or West Ham, I don't know which one, are in the FA Cup, which as a result means the game that would normally happen on the 19th isn't happening on the 19th. Well, we then go into an international break for about 2-3 weeks. I think it's some European Euro qualifiers, which then means that you go from them not playing on the 19th of March to the next game, which happens in League, is the 2nd of April. And by then, you'll have about 2 weeks of FUT birthday, which sadly can create a good bit of, people just selling off Benrahma because he won't get upgraded because they want to try to do FUT birthday cards, and there potentially be market crashes, Icon and Hero SBCs. FUT Birthdays is basically one of the best promos, and those cards aren't going to get upgraded until the second week after FUT Birthday. So, yeah. Now, and again, it's the exact same with Liverpool. If you go and look at Liverpool, they play against Fulham. I think Fulham are still in the FA Cup or something along the lines of that, or Liverpool are. And they as well do not play until the 1st of April, which as a result means that the hype isn't amazing. Because some teams are playing on the 19th, 11 days away, whereas they're playing that week. There's best part of 20 days away, 22 days away. So you can see how the hype differs. On top of that, it also is what content comes in those 2 weeks with it being delayed. And I say that's both the case for Liverpool and the case of West Ham. So now what I need to do is I need to show you guys the best players to go and buy. Now I do believe that Benrahma and Crouch will rise, because I just think they'll rise out of packs. The rest of FUT Fancies will rise this weekend, and they'll rise as a result. But now the new best investments are the criteria I like. Under 300k and some of the most used cards. So we look at Isaac, great. He's the the next most used card after Benrahma. He's under 300k. He's in the Prem, and I can go and show you right here. Newcastle go and play on the 17th. So that game, if I'm not wrong, is included. There'll be hype around it, even if it isn't included. So it doesn't fully matter because they say the game's 17th onwards. So I do believe it's included. And what's going to happen is he's going to rise going into the 17th, especially over the weekend. So that's my favourite one. The next favourite one would then go and be the likes of actually heading into the fancy heroes. Now again, we did like the likes of Crouch, but Crouch doesn't work, which means the only other one I like, because I only really like buying special cards under 300k, is the likes of Ricken. Now what's nice with Ricken is representing Borussia Dortmund, who obviously part of the Chelsea loss are on really good form. And he goes and plays on the 18th. So again, you're holding on to him for no longer than 10 days. And Ricken is a very heavily used card. Obviously, he's the second most used hero after the likes of Peter Crouch. And even if you compare the FUT Fantasy heroes to the FUT Fantasies, he's still, places 4th or 5th, or 3rd or yeah, third most used, which is under 300k. We then head to likes of Skriniar, obviously Skriniar under 300k, nicely used. We can go and show you right here that Inter Milan play against Juventus, which sounds very daunting apart from Juventus are 8th at the moment this season. And again, that's on the 19th, no longer than a few days. And is that, that's not quite all she wrote. Now, I normally look at the most used cards, but Fabian has had some great trends. He went from 300k to 400k on the first day of being released. And in my opinion, that is really good because that just shows there's, you know, really nice demand. I mean, look at that. If we look on Sunday, he was down at 340, and then we look at Monday, and he got all the way up there to 500k. That's a 160k rise, which is about, well, it's going to be about a 30% rise over the day. And then he still went and held 400k, which I do think is quite impressive. Now, he's been dropping, and again, the buy times on these FUT Fancies is going to be Wednesday, 10 PM, all the way through till rewards on Thursday morning. But if you have to buy them Thursday midday, it won't be the end of the world. They'll probably just be up a little bit, going off of normal trends. So Fabian is the next player I do like. And Fabian do play against Stade Rennais. I don't believe Stade Rennais are too bad yet, coming in at 5th. But nonetheless, there'll be hype around him. Fabian, again, he's ranked really low here, but you've got to appreciate this card came out on a Sunday, whereas the others came on the Friday. So obviously there's been like double the time for these to get scores. But on top of that, more of them have been packed, which means there'll be, you know, more of them being used. So in theory, Fabian should be quite well demanded, despite him being very low down in the pecking order. And yeah, that is really what I like when it comes to investing in these players. Now, what is quite interesting is that I don't really like this team. I'll be completely honest with you. With the most used players that I like being a 300k striker and a 230k defender, and then a Bundesliga player, I don't really like these players because the best players in the game, or the most demanded cards in the game, are Premier League players and French players who are under 300k. And there's just none of them. You know, there's no Premier League players under 300k. There's no French players under 300k at the point where people would use them. You know, Saliba under 300k, beautiful, but he's not. He's just too expensive. So, in my opinion, there's neither of, you know, the combinations I quite like. Again, with any of the heroes, none of the combinations I like. So, what happened last year? If we go and check out Rousselon's card last year, and this happened across the board, I've checked many of them, I was like checking them on stream today, is if we go and look at Rousselon's card, this is this Wednesday, this is this Thursday, and we can see that he was about 121k. Well, if we go to next Monday, he was up at 160. So he went from 121 to 160, and again, the card hadn't played any games, there was no relevance to the card being upgraded because they didn't get upgraded until the 1st of April onwards. It was literally just rising in the hype of out packs, and I can show you this with Inaki Williams last year, I can show you the likes of Klosterman last year, Stones last year. They all followed this trend. So what I kind of think is, if I don't really like this team, what I can do is I can go and buy my stuff on Wednesday, and I'll go and sell on Sunday, Monday, which, interesting enough, was the low point on Team 2 last year. I'll just quickly show you this. And I'll go and buy Team 2 if I like the players, because there is a chance that there is a lot more desired players with better combos, and the game players who obviously play, you know, before the 20th of March. I don't want to be holding on to any April players. So I can show you Rodrigo right here of last year, and if my research does not fail me, Rodrigo should have been the cheapest here on the Sunday, which means I could go and buy, as I say, them on the Wednesday, sell them on the Sunday, and presuming that there's players that I like more next week, I can go and buy them on the Sunday. Now, this does warrant the risk, and there is a risk of FUT Birthday being not this up-and-coming Friday, but the Friday after, and I think we could maybe see a little bit of what we saw happen to the Road to the Finals. So remember that these Road Finals did really well, but there was a bit of panic selling when FUT Fantasy came out. You can see this by this little dip right here. Potentially the same thing will happen with FUT Fantasies. With that rising going into this week, so next week, there is a chance they do peak on Monday, Tuesday, Team 1, and then dip with the panic selling of FUT Birthday, but then rise after FUT Birthday when the cards are going back into playing their games and getting upgraded. So, it's a bit of a hard one, because last year FUT Fantasy Team 2 were the cheapest on the Sunday, whereas this trend could hint towards them being panic sold going into FUT Birthday on the Friday. So maybe if you want to play it very safe, what you do is you buy Team 1 Wednesday, sell it Sunday, Monday, buy Team 2 on the Thursday, despite them being the cheapest on Sunday last year, just because last year we didn't have FUT Birthday you know, in the equivalent time. They kind of mixed the promos up this year. Foot Fancy came after Foot Birthday last year, so this isn't something we had to worry about. Whereas Foot Birthday is normally quite a well-demanded promo. There's also the chance that Foot Fancies just drop up when Foot Birthday is out and people don't care about the live cards because maybe the concept that they do for Foot Birthday is very amazing. Or, sorry, very interesting and, you know, intriguing, innovative even. So, the very safe play is buy Wednesday, sell Sunday, Monday, and maybe just don't reinvest. Otherwise, you can just hold on to them and gamble on them playing. I mean, I can show you what happened with Roussillon. I don't think the second dip was too favourable for Roussillon, so let me see if I can show you someone maybe who had a really good rise up until the Sunday and then had a really good rise going into their next game. Maybe the likes of... Do we have Inaki Williams in this team? We do indeed. So, Inaki Williams had that first rise where, again, he didn't play whatsoever, where he went there from 53 up there to 45, 44, went up there to 53. Again, that's all in the pre-hype. And then going into his next game, he went from 53 to 58. So he went up. Did he dip back down again after going to 53? Yeah, he did. He dipped back down to 51k, interesting enough. So, yeah, that could be the equivalent of people panic selling going into maybe Foot Birthday this week. And then he did rise from 52 all the way up to 58 pre-playing his next game. So just a little bit of additional news on what happened last week. Obviously, there's a few change-up of investments. There's arguably even a change-up of strategy if we do like Team 2 more than Team 1. And also, again, giving you guys a bit of a risk assessment on the investment. So hopefully that's helped you guys with just a little bit of an update, who I think is an investment. Again, Benrahma and Crouch just still rise out of packs because these are very, very heavily used cards. The only problem is you're not going to have the hype on them like you will have on the guys who will get upgraded in the 19th and the 20th. You'll just have them rising out of packs. And again, do be aware that not this Friday, but the following Friday is Foot Birthday, which can create a bit of panic selling. But thanks for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow with a brand new video.